So the noises over the last couple of days by the evangelists are that used EVs are stabilising. We've been saying it for 3 years. They're not. They're saying they're cheaper to run than a petrol. Prove that. They're not. They say they're cheaper to lease than a petrol. No, not. Cheaper to service than a petrol. All the servicing contract on the leasing for EVs was the same price as the ones on petrol. 3/4 of rental and leasing companies, 77%, expect internal combustion engine, ICE, residual values to remain stable or improve in 2026. Most expect used EV values to continue falling, with leasing firms particularly negative as they absorb losses from their first wave of EVs. I had a lady today, I'm sure she said she was 73 years old. I think she might have called me young man. And she said she'd save thousands, no servicing. So you save thousands and your battery goes, you haven't had any servicing, and they just say, I'm sorry, you haven't had it serviced, your warranty's null and void. All this crap about EVs not needing servicing. I wonder how much money it saves the manufacturers. Because it's the dealers that will lose out on warranty work. Because if you take your vehicle into a dealer, he gets the warranty work. If he's got any time to do it, he'll do it. He gets paid off the manufacturer. You probably have to wait a month or so, and the labour rate's discounted, and you know the parts are at trade price, but it's still work for your workshop. So it's the dealer that loses out. If your vehicle is not covered by warranty, the dealer loses out, the manufacturer doesn't. The manufacturer gains because he don't have to give you a battery. And then he sells you one at full up price, and then the dealer makes the difference between trade and retail price on a battery. So the dealer gets some money back, but probably not all of it. So we'll give the dealers the benefit of the doubt. With all these stories, who do you think would know best what's going to happen? Somebody who, say, works for the Climate Intelligence Unit, and I had to laugh. In fact, let me just see if I can find it. ECIU, Climate Intelligence Unit. And research out today shows that, all right, this was a little bit too clever for me. So there's an up arrow and a down arrow, and I'm thinking, and research out today shows that the increase of the offshore wind has decreased the UK spending on imported fuels by at least 30 billion in 2024. Real prices to date. That's it, offshore wind, Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit. Andrew Neil, used to be editor of the Sunday Times. Yes, our dash to renewables has been so successful that at 3 p.m. today, we were having to import 14% of our electricity needs from 4 different countries. So much for energy security, self-sufficiency. I just sent Andrew a little tweet. I'm sure he gets so many who never saw this. If you think that's bad, you should see the track they come out with about EVs. These are the ones that tell you you'll still be able to save £1,000 on an EV in 2028 when the 3p tax comes in. I almost feel sorry for the Climate Intelligence Unit, and especially Colin Walker. Virtually everything he says is proved wrong immediately. And like this one, November the 19th, 2024, I really don't think it's doing the farming community any good whatsoever, having Clarkson fronting their campaign. Brilliant deduction, Sherlock. Thank you. And then we go on to this tweet. Colin's always trying to get retractions for things people have written in the paper that he doesn't believe. Colin Walker, July the 14th, 2025. These are pretty basic errors from a pretty reputable news outlet, and all help contribute to the fog of misinformation that surrounds EVs and the EV transition. Suffice to say, a request for corrections to be made is going in. Must do better. And this one, November the 20th, 2024. This will also have a knock-on effect on the second-hand market where most of us buy our cars. The EVs sold today are the second-hand EVs of the future, and research we released today shows how a second-hand EV can save people an average of £1,600 a day. Now, I've sent numerous messages to him and the Climate Intelligence Unit asking for a retraction of this tweet, and he never did. He's just left it out there, and there's thousands and thousands of people have seen this. Barrie, Crampton. I've asked for this to be corrected or deleted time and time again. Couldn't agree more. Not as bad as claiming you can save £1,600 a day if you buy an EV, though. Never had an answer, nothing's been done about it from the Climate Intelligence Unit or Colin himself. So at this point, I'm just going to cut this comment in that I got on one of my YouTube videos yesterday. It's a reply to a video in which I used information to basically offset the CO2 that a diesel gives out over and above an EV by buying trees. Now, I had thought that the date on the tweet and my reply would have been enough, but obviously RD500 fan 4 didn't. I'll just read you what he said, and I hope to make it clear again by another tweet which I replied to Colin quite a while ago. If you look, and if RD500 fan is watching, just look at the date on the tweet. It's not difficult. Work with me. So this is it. I drive an EV and have never watched your channel before, so I thought I'd give it a go. You made an interesting point about buying trees to offset a diesel car. Then went on to show second-hand diesels are growing in value. Yes, they're up 2.7% and EVs are down 5.5%, so there's a big swing. Interesting, I thought, but there were no dates in your super basic chart. The super basic chart was petrol, diesel and EVs, showing the percentage up and down. I thought that would just be enough, to be honest, but I'll cut the information in here too, just to satisfy people, because I don't like the tone of this comment. In your super basic chart and no source cited, as is usually the case. I'll have a look in the video notes, I thought. Lots of affiliate links and ads for merch, but not one single reference source for data presented to strengthen your case. I don't think my case needed strengthening any further, to be honest, but I suspected as much. Basically, you pick or make up whatever stats suit your narrative, and that's the basis of your channel, presumably. I am happy to see well-argued anti-EV sentiment making valid points with supporting info. You fall well short of the mark, and I won't waste my time in you again. To that, I would have to say good, because if you can't read a date, you've only watched one video when there's a whole series, and I always refer to information. So this was my reply. In sales, you talk to mirror. So whenever somebody comes at me aggressively, I mirror their behaviour just to show them it's not nice. It's actually funny that you say I fall well short of your mark, but not short of the industry experts who are in contact with me all the time to ask for my advice and opinion. People like you make me laugh. You don't understand, you can't read, so you point the finger at me to explain your own ignorance. This is another reply, and of course, just to refresh your memory, it's a reply to Colin's claim that you can save £1,600 a day. He actually meant £1,600 a year. I know he meant £1,600 a year, but even that's just as stupid as £1,600 a day. You cannot save £1,600 a year on an EV at the moment. Neither could you save £1,600 a year back then when they were claiming it. Let me just tell you when the reply was, so RD500 fan knows. It was at 3:38 p.m, I'm not sure of the seconds, November the 23rd, 2024. Research released today shows that it's cheaper to run a Ford Mustang 5 litre than it is to run a GWM Aura by about £20,000, and that's even after you have more than offset your carbon footprint by planting trees. A 2024 GWM Aura 48 kilowatt hour 5-door auto has tanked by £18,390 or 59% in 8 months, whilst a Ford Mustang 5 litre hasn't. In fact, the pony car has gone up by £2,500 since January, making the total difference £20,890, with which you could buy 3,210 gallons of petrol, more now because fuel's actually gone down, I think, and drive 80,250 miles at 25 miles per gallon in the Stang, or pay £712.80p, drive round with a smile from ear to ear and plant enough trees in the northwest to offset 100,000 miles driving. This is where I got my information from, car carbon footprint calculator. You'll see there, Mustang model year 2020 5-litre V8 Bullet Fastback, and the cost to offset 44 tonnes is £712.80 including VAT. That's planting trees in the northwest, which is where I am. So again, with your diesels going up 2%, your EVs going down 5.5%, if you're worried about the climate, buy a diesel, save money and plant trees. Me in today's times, on the noise we're hearing about industry calling on government to weaken the ZEV mandate, in a nutshell, don't, it's working. Plenty of manufacturers are meeting, even exceeding the targets, so there's no case for any tinkering. They didn't meet the targets, they had to buy carbon credits, that's rubbish. Electric car prices slashed by 1/3 to meet net zero sales targets, good. This is the ZEV mandate in action as they compete for sales to hit their targets. Prices coming down and sales going up. Unfortunately, a lot of jobs have been lost since. It caused catastrophic depreciation on EVs, which in turn has ruined the sales of them and ruined the motor trade. I think we can see which side their bread's buttered and how biased they are. Colin Walker, 16th of January 2025. Drivers face £677 petrol premium as pump prices rise. New analysis shows petrol price increase adding to drivers' annual fuel bill. What he's never said is at the time Nissan Leafs were going down £750 a month, and so were Renault Zoes. A month. Not a year, a month. Which more than offset the increase in petrol prices. But again, even though they say they offer a balance, let me just see if I can find it. The Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit is a non-profit organisation that supports informed debate on energy and climate change issues in the UK. Yeah, of course you do. Absolutely, of course you do. That's informed debate. 20th of November 2024. Best-selling second-hand EVs saving drivers £1,600 a year. The government's ZEV mandate will play a crucial role in driving the second-hand EV market, allowing more families to benefit from cheaper and cleaner electric driving. Again, dealers and leasing companies were losing millions and millions of pounds a year trying to sell EVs and failing miserably. Then here we go. We shoot forward to a year on. The 3p per mile charge for EVs has just been announced in the budget. 6th of November 2025. Snap analysis. EVs still £1,000 cheaper to run with 3p per mile charge. That's by Colin Walker. Again, as I say, on the 6th of November 2025. So, analysis by the Energy and Climate Intelligence Unit based on the 10 best-selling EVs of 2024 shows that even with a 3p per mile tax reported by media as possible announcement at the next budget, EVs would still be £1,000 cheaper to run per year than petrol cars. 28th of November, Colin Walker. Popular second-hand EVs can save their drivers £1,450 a year despite new 3p per mile tax on EVs. They just haven't got a clue. They're like headless chickens. And I understand it because daily there is bad news about EVs, about U-turns. The EU putting petrol ban back now. EVs, as far as sales go, are dead in the water, and all the reports you see, you can basically just file under propaganda. Even though you can't save anything now, and they say you can save £1,500 now, when they get more expensive in 2028, you're going to be able to save £1,000 by running an EV. But anyway, let me just go back to this, because they think you're going to be able to save money, but then the people that actually run EVs, UK leasing industry, expect EV values to fall in 2026. Well, I expect them to plummet. And as the target gets bigger, that will drive the price down even further, depress the used car market, and then they have to keep registering them, and they have to keep like playing pass the parcel with used EVs to pretend that used EV sales are taking off too. And like, I can only, right. So, years ago, I was selling a Vauxhall Chevette at a place called Olympia Auction. And I think I've told this story before. I went to see it go through, and the auctioneer was like 50 quid, 75 quid, 100 quid, 200 quid, 250, 300. And I'm stood over here and I can't see anybody bidding. There was nobody bidding. And it's 325. And I think the reserve was 550 quid, something like that. 325, 350, 375, 400. You at the back? You at the back yet? 450? Okay. 500, 500, 500. And then there's nobody bidding. It was what you call basically bouncing bids off the wall, pretending. Then I just saw one guy at the back, and he's like, you can see him, he's really, really nervous. So he goes, 525, and this guy puts his hand up and he goes, 550. Going once, going twice, 3 times, 550. He was the only one that bid. He'd just been trotted up. Now that's what they're doing with EVs. They're trying to pretend there's a market for them. And as soon as a private gets hold of one, that's it. That's it, it's yours. It's not down to you. It's just the whole thing is an absolute joke. It really is a joke. So let's see what the leasing boys have to say, because I like these. The leasing companies have trodden the car dealers into the ground over the last God knows how many years. They've absolutely stuffed them, screwed them down on discounts, got them fighting against each other. You've got like a leasing company in Blackpool, and a Mercedes-Benz garage from London sells them one cheaper than you and delivers it to them right into your area. That's it. So they just get them all fighting. But now you see what's happening now. So the boot's on the other foot. The leasing companies, it don't matter how much they screw them down for on EVs, they can't make any money because they're blowing a fortune. They're blowing millions of pounds. They've had a shocking year this year, a shocking year last year. Let's see what they have to say. UK leasing industry expects EV values to fall in 2026. By Tom Seymour, 8th of December 2025. Most rental and leasing firms expect used electric vehicles EV values to fall again in 2026. Well, they've not stopped falling every month. According to the BVRLA's latest industry outlook report. And again, I keep going back to this. Not so long ago, the EV put their name to a document that said you could save £1,500 a year buying a used EV. If you can save £1,500 a year, why is it they're losing money? They get them a lot cheaper than you'll ever get it, but yet they lose money. So why would that be? The prediction is a blow for the used EV market, which has seen more stability in recent months. No, it's not. It's gone down every month. Almost 2/3 of companies surveyed by the BVRLA, 64%, believe EV residual values will decline next year. They will, with higher rates on new vehicles expected as a result. I got another comment off a chap today. All I see here with depreciation is bargain used car prices for people. How long do you expect people to buy new and lose all that money so that you can buy a cheap used EV. People that buy used EVs are basically buying a vehicle that will be an economic write-off should anything go wrong with it. I've said it before with Range Rovers. Everybody wants a Range Rover, so they strap themselves up every last penny. Some, not all of them, some Range Rover drivers obviously are well heeled, but you see other people driving around in them, there's like smoke coming out of them and like so, because they've used all the money to buy them and they're using all the money to pay for them on the finance agreement every month. And therefore they haven't got enough money to repair and maintain them. And that's basically what any new EV that comes out of the showroom, if the battery goes, it's an economic write-off, because you can get 40, 30, 40, 50% off them. And the battery is worth 50%. So you're getting the car for free. You're buying a battery, you're getting the car for free. Unfortunately, if the battery goes, you've got to throw the car away. Things need to be addressed. You can't sell EVs when the battery's going to cost you 50%. It just can't be half the price of the car, because it doesn't make sense retailing them. A similar proportion, 63%, expect economic conditions to worsen. Well, Labour government, what do you expect? Were you expecting anything different? The UK's leasing industry took a big hit on EVs last year, losing millions as a result of value drops. The report said the strong disposal profits seen in 2022 and 2023 have now disappeared as the used car market normalises. Used car market normalises. Does that mean that in 2022, when you were pre-registering vehicles and hiding them so that you could introduce them back into the market later, keep EV residuals up artificially by pre-registering them, creating a false narrative, making people think that there was a waiting list, the vehicles were bringing over list, and you could buy a new one. I can let you have it for, it would have to be a retail price, and keeping the prices up that way. And then when the bubble burst and everybody realised that, when they started siphoning, when they started introducing delivery mileage vehicles in auctions, when they started selling 2-year-old EVs with delivery mileages to dealers in bulk, you could basically order anything you wanted, used, 2 years old, a used brand new vehicle. It then became apparent that not all the things that we'd heard were true. And there was some exaggerations. What happened then? Prices went down, and all the EV shows say, "Oh, yeah, that was because Elon reduced Teslas in January." Well, unless somebody had a DeLorean, prices started tanking the previous September, and Elon reduced Teslas as a result of the market tanking. He didn't cause it. Good excuse. I mean, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. It was all Elon's fault. Everything's Elon's fault. But no, it wasn't. The market started tanking then, and I had warned a good 12 months before what was going to happen, because I could just see the market wasn't right. It's not how it has been for the last 50 years. There was something wrong. And sure enough, I was proved right. The report said the strong disposal profits seen in 2022 and 2023 have now disappeared as the used car market normalises. Used sales rose for an 11th consecutive quarter in quarter 3, according to Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders SMMT data. Yeah, well, cast your mind back to that soon-to-be 9-owner nearly 2022 EV. I could go through data and see percentages for things in another industry, and I wouldn't be able to understand them. It's a sad fact that they're actually in the motor industry. 3/4 of rental and leasing companies, 77%, expect internal combustion engine, ICE, residual values to remain stable or improve in 2026. So they're thinking that ICE cars will go up and EVs will go down. Most expect used EV values to continue falling, with leasing firms particularly negative as they absorb losses from their first wave of EVs. Calls for intervention include grants to support used EV pricing, reduced benefit in kind tax for used EV and salary sacrifice drivers, and measures to build confidence in battery health and charging. Toby Poston, BVRLA Chief Executive, said, "Hardened by a series of shocks, our sector is more resilient than ever, but desperately in search of some stability and certainty. The recent budget delivered little of either. Except for the 1.3 billion electric car grant. And don't forget, it's not the government's money, it's money they've collected in tax. The rapid rate of decarbonisation being enforced through the ZEV mandate is hurting everyone, with imbalanced incentives, patchy demand, plummeting residual values, and a misguided new pay-per-mile tax clouding the horizon. Every positive step the government takes seems to be undermined by a bad decision elsewhere." Positive steps? Please don't tell me that you think the electric car grant was a step in the right direction when all it did is just make used vehicles bomb. You are going on about used vehicles getting rid and you're losing money. The government cocked you up big time because they've effectively knocked £3,750 or an increment of that off your used EVs that you're trying to get rid of, or at least £1,500. And some of them don't even get the grant. But because you can get another make and model of car brand new cheaper, then it's had a knock-on effect on the used ones of other manufacturers. The Chinese ones, for instance, that don't get the grant, it's not them. And yet industry leaders remain optimistic. No, they don't. History shows our sector can advance in the face of intense headwinds. Used to be able to do, now they're not equipped to, they're not capable of. All they want is handouts. They don't want to do hard work, they just want handouts. Based on the findings of this report, we should plan for more of the same in 2026. More giveaways because you're not up to it, because your people can't do the job. I mean, let's just examine this. Why are you losing money? You get a lease, you get the car at a certain price, so you know how much you've got to recoup. You've got that, and then you've got a forecasted residual, so you've got to recoup the difference between what you've paid and what it's going to cost. You've got to recoup what you've paid for it and what you're going to get back in 3 years with 30,000 miles on. If you calculate that figure accurately, all you have to do then is put on how much profit you want and the interest rates, and you've got it. The only thing, you know your profit, you know your interest rate, you know how much you paid for it. The only thing you've got to do is get the residual value right. And if you'd have got the residual value right, the leases would have been dearer and you wouldn't have leased those EVs out, even with the tax. You see, what you should have done, if you'd got the lease right, if you got the leasing prices right, they were getting tax incentives. You were getting cheap EVs. Don't ask for grants because your members who forecast residual values got it wrong. Because that's it. You want bailing out. That's all you want. You want a bailout from the taxpayer. You don't deserve it. Sorry, you don't. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.